Hello and welcome back to talkSPORT MMA YouTube channel. My name is, of course, Kwaku Afari. And before we get started, make sure you're liking, commenting, but most importantly, subscribing to the talkSPORT MMA YouTube channel. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. I'm delighted to be joined by one of the greatest boxers of all time, who's now looking to make a big mark in the MMA world. It's, of course, the GWOAT, Claressa Shields. How you doing, Claressa?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Before we get started and talk about PFL Europe 2 in Newcastle, which you will be attending, I want to take you up on something, because me and you actually spoke before at Heathrow Airport. I interviewed you before one of your boxing fights last year it was, and I called you self-proclaimed GWOAT, and you corrected me. You said, no, I am the GWOAT. So I want to ask you about the transition into MMA. Did you make that transition to cement your legacy as the GWOAT of not only boxing, but of female combat sports?
I did MMA because people doubted what I can do. And they put this whole stereotype or stigma on women boxers and say, women boxers are good boxers, but they can't do MMA. And all the MMA girls are so much better than the women fighters. And I really just went to MMA to prove to them that boxing reigns overall. If you take boxing out of MMA, it's just a whole bunch of grabbing and kicking. And some people want to see that, some don't. I know I prefer not. I prefer to see hands be thrown. So to me, boxing reigns in any combat sport, and I just wanted to show them that, and then like these girls who were the best over there saying that I was scared of them and I would never come to the sport. It was like, y'all is talking to the greatest woman of all time. Like, I'm pound for pound number one. So when those girls got talking their stuff, I was like, I gotta represent for boxing. So my competitive spirit led me to come to MMA, and I was the GWOAT before then. We talking about 13 world championships. We talking about 3-time undisputed, 3-division world champion. Now I'm about to fight for my 4th division up at heavyweight next month in Detroit. I mean, I'm just trying to get everything and conquer every division that I can.
Yeah, I understand that. I think maybe people had questions about it because traditionally we've seen MMA fighters make the transition to boxing, but boxers never step into the world of MMA for various reasons. Maybe it's because of the pay, maybe it's because of the multi-disciplines. So that's maybe why they took some umbrage in terms of yourself calling yourself the GWOAT, because we never see the transition the other way. But like you mentioned there, you've done things in boxing that people could only dream of. Like I say, you're one of the greatest boxers of all time, one of only 3 boxers in history, male or female, to hold all 4 major belts in 2 weight classes. And so when it comes, it's the truth though, right? So when it comes to MMA, I think people are questioning why do this at this stage of your career. You could go make all the money in the world in the ring, but taking on the challenger of boxing at this stage of your career, where you can kind of avoid that, is a huge task. And I think that's why people are asking that question.
Look, honestly, when I first came to MMA, I just wanted to show them, like, look, I can win. Like, they were saying stuff like, you can't even be a low-tier MMA fighter. Yeah. Like somebody who has very little experience and no fights, no losing record. They were saying like a girl who's a brown belt, she'll submit you. A girl who's a black belt, she'll beat you. And when I was hearing all these things, I'm like, so you telling me that if I train, I can't beat not one MMA fighter, and I'm one of the best fighters in the world? I just had to shut them up on that. So that was the reason why I came over at first. And then now I'm 3 fights in, and I'm like, you know what? All the coaches I work with, and it's been 2 coaches and 2 teams this far, they've all said the same thing. Holly Holmes said it, and Johnny Bones said it. I have the potential to be PFL world champion. All I have to do is put in the time and put in the work. And that's my goal now. I want to be PFL world champion. I want to fight in a tournament. I would love to fight against Larissa Pacheco in the next coming years and just test myself against the best, and if you're not fighting against the best, then, what are you doing? I'm not looking at, Savannah, me and her fighting in MMA, it sounds good and it looks good and it's a very interesting fight that I'll win. But is that really like the two best women boxers, or two of boxing's greatest women, fighting against each other in a foreign sport? Like, what makes that so interesting? To me, it's more interesting fighting against a world champion in MMA. Yeah. That sounds more interesting to me. But you know, when you have Claressa Shields versus Savannah Marshall, it rings bells. And then you talking about some in MMA, oh, they would love to see her kick me, or see me elbow her, or see me kick her too. You know, so it's entertaining in itself. It's just not the best. It's not the best challenge. I feel like, to me, I feel like I have more experience than her in MMA, and I put in way more time than she has. But hey, if she's a quick learner and she can do everything better than me, we're going to see that on Saturday when she fights.
Well, you mentioned her name, so I'm going to have to bring it up. And you said the motivation, right? For me as a fan, the motivation to see that fight is because it's 1-1 at the moment. She inflicted your only defeat in amateur boxing. You inflicted her only defeat in professional boxing. And if we can see the epic trilogy, the conclusion to this trilogy, in an MMA cage, I think for the neutrals, for the fans, that would be absolutely incredible, no?
It's 1-0. It's 1-0. We're not going to talk about the amateurs. If we're going to talk about the amateurs, let's talk about all the girls that beat her in the amateurs compared to the girls that beat me. And I only lost one time in the amateurs. 78 fights, 77 wins, 1 loss. That I felt like I never lost in the amateurs. Anyway, but when we fought in the pros, where it mattered, where it's 2 different records, I'm undefeated in boxing. She's not. No more. So there is no it's not 1-1. It's 1-0.
Okay.
You know, I already upped the score on Savannah. And now that we're in the professionals now, like I said, it's 1-0. Fighting MMA would be very, like I said, entertaining. But we can always fight in boxing again and have a rematch. Just come to the U.S. It's that simple. It's just, I already came over here to the U.K. I got booed. All week. You know, she had the fans on her side. Even the commentators on her side. I had to sway everybody over to my side during the fight. Hey, give me my fair shot too. Come on over to the U.S. and let the U.S. fans get to know you a little bit.
Okay, I hear it. Before we do talk about the fight that you're going to be at on her home turf again, observing from cage side, Kelsey DeSantis was your last fight in the PFL. That was in February. And of course, you're learning. You're 3 fights in. What have you found in terms of the grappling side of things the most challenging when it comes to MMA?
The most challenging when it comes to the grappling?
Yeah.
Well, up at first, I found it hard to recognize when somebody was going for a takedown.
Okay.
At first. Now that I have some more experience now, I can recognize the takedowns. I can sprawl very well. I know how to avoid from being taken down, certain moves to make, certain things to do inside the cage. And I understand that it's not just 2 fights in the cage, which is like stand up in the ground. It's so many different fights inside the cage. Yeah. It's the fighting part of it, you know, the punching. It's the kicking part. It's the cage fight. You know, people don't even understand that part of it. Like the cage fight is so underrated in MMA. People don't understand that. And then you have to understand that going through each one, you have to transition throughout the fight. You got a 5-minute round, so the whole 5 minutes, nobody about to let you just punch them in their face. They want to disrupt your game plan. So you can't keep throwing punches and somebody's going for a takedown. You have to do your takedown defense. And then once you get through that and work through those cycles, now you can get back to your boxing. But also it's about once they get a hold to you, it's also how do you disconnect? You know what I'm saying? You can't just, I'm disconnect just by punching. It's like, no, they got a hold of you here. They got you here. They going for the leg now. It's like you have to transition as it goes, and you have to fight the fight that's being fought. And that is a skill and a mindset in itself, but it actually comes with work, and that's what I find most challenging. When I first started was just fighting the fight. My only fight that I knew was boxing. So even on the ground, I'm still trying to throw punches while somebody's on top of me. When it's like, you need to be working on getting the hell up. So having that mindset and knowing exactly what to do and staying calm. Staying calm is what I remember telling myself over and over again my first fight. Stay calm. Stay calm. Don't freak out. I mean, like my first fight, I went in there, I punched a girl a couple times, and then she took me down, and I was on the ground the first 3 minutes of my first MMA fight. I lost the first round for sure. And then I go in there again. The second round, she takes me down again. I'm on the ground again for 4 minutes. Now I'm like, oh my God, it's just getting worse and worse. And then last round, I go out there, I land a big shot. She goes for a takedown. I sprawl. I figure out how to get loose from her. And then I knocked her out. And it was one of those things where I was like, whoa. Yeah. Like, that was scary. But when somebody's behind you, or they got you on the ground, or they're on top of you, and they're trying to do all this sneaky stuff that you've been working on not getting done to you, if you freak out and you're like, just get off me. You done gave them your arm. You breathing extra hard. They got your arm. They got you choked, whatever. And it was just one of those things where it's like, stay calm. And I'm hoping that Savannah can do that this weekend. I really want her to do well and represent for women's boxing. And, show me why she deserves a fight with me in MMA.
I think it's so interesting when you talk about that whoa feeling. I've talked to quite a few MMA fighters and boxers who've done a bit of both, and they say because of the gloves, for example, when you knocked out Brittany Elkin, it's just a different type of feeling, right? In boxing, the gloves are thicker, but when you hit somebody in MMA clean, it just feels more visceral, it feels more powerful, and I can understand how you felt like that. Talking about Savannah, because again you brought her up, and she's talked about you a lot. Let's not get it twisted. She's mentioned you a lot, and she's basically said the whole reason why. Exactly. That's why you're in Newcastle, and you talked about championship gold being your motivation in the PFL and think you can become a world champion. We do have to address the elephant in the room, though, because you are going to be cage-side at PFL Europe 2 in Newcastle on Saturday night to watch Savannah Marshall. So surely in your mind, a fight between you and her is on the horizon. I know you want to do bigger and better things and claim championship gold, but we've got to address the fact that you're both fighting in the same organisation, two of the greatest female boxers of all time.
Listen, she came to the PFL just for me. Mm-hmm. So I know that, and I've never once turned down a fight with Savannah, not in boxing, not in MMA. I don't think she can beat me in anything. Not running, not playing basketball, not soccer, football. I don't think Savannah can beat me in anything. And if she wants to test herself, look, we can spend our whole life just competing against each other in everything and seeing who
I would love
wins.
it. I would love it. I would love it.
Me and you both. I would love to get her out there on the track to show her that even though she's taller, I'm faster. And you said that I'm here to watch her ringside, and I am here to support. She asked me to come. I didn't want to come, but she asked me so nicely. I said I will come over. And not that I'm going to cheer for her. You might see me clapping. You might see me yell out some things because sometimes my emotions and how and my passion for the sport just comes out. So I can sit here and say, oh, I'm not going to cheer for her. But when she's fighting, if I can give her something that can help her win, you may see me blurt it out. But the competitive spirit in me, of course, I have to watch and have knowledge because we may have a future fight, of course, but that's not something that I'm focused on, and I'm not saying that she's not good enough. Like, we don't know how good she is. Yeah. We will all see Saturday. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's fighting against a girl who's a purple belt, who's been inside the cage 3 times, from what I know. But these girls always have experience outside of that 1-2 record. Like, these girls been doing jiu-jitsu since they were 12. You know, and these girls been off and on and going through their own life and doing different sports. Like, the girl she fighting against is a kickboxing champion. Like, we are suckers for kicks. Boxers inside the cage, it's because of our stance, where we are taught to have a closed stance and fight closed. But in MMA, you get your leg kicked off, especially if you don't know how to check kicks. I mean, even head kicks, you gotta know how to block those properly, because you block it the wrong way, they can kick you and break your hand. It just, she has a big task in front of her, and I don't want her to overlook her task. But look, a fight with me and her is not hard to make. Not in MMA, not in boxing. It's just not hard to make. And I'm here to see what she got. I'm here to support. And I'm here to add to the storyline. You know, she didn't have to come to Riyadh 4 days before my fight. They wanted me to come over here as early as a week to help big this up. So that's why I'm here. And I don't know if I'm the villain or the hero in this story, but I know one thing: I'm the winner in it, and that's all that matters.
That's a perfect way to end it. Claressa Shields, thank you so much. I will see you at PFL Europe 2 tomorrow in Newcastle. And yeah, good luck in the future, and good luck in your boxing match next month as well. Take it easy.
Thank you so much. Thank you.